Here's the problem. A good story with bad dialogue will never sound like a real good story, and bad dialogue will also make your characters look bad, so it's pretty important not to neglect what comes out the mouth of your heroes. Which is why in this video I want to share with you 5 principles you can combine in your dialogue and immediately get better results. So let's start from number 1, shall we? Quentin Tarantino says that when he writes dialogue, the characters just talk in his head and he basically takes note on what they're saying. Which sounds insane, but it's not so insane when you start considering how much Tarantino knows about his characters outside what you see on the screen. He knows what they think, he knows how they feel, he knows all the inner motivation, all the backstory, all those little details that cause the interesting behavior we get to experience in his movies. Basically, he knows these characters like they were brothers and sisters to him. And when you know your characters so well, I'm not surprised that the dialogue writes itself, because it doesn't matter what happens, you immediately know what a character will think and feel, and you can come out right away with a unique answer and reaction. It's when you don't know your characters well enough that writing dialogue gets complicated, because something happens and they could say anything. Not having the knowledge of the inner workings of the characters gives you no ground to decide what they'll do in a given situation, and how can you tell the story of someone you don't know? If you take the time to understand who you're writing, things will become a lot smoother. Your reader will most likely experience your story through the point of view of the protagonist, because your story will most likely be written in first person or in third limited. But when it comes to write dialogue, you should forget for a moment about the main point of view and switch into the skin of whichever character is doing the talking. In this way, you can feel the situation from his or her perspective and be sure of what that character would actually say and do. Then of course it will be the point of view character to hear what they're saying or to describe what they're doing, but doing this switch will allow you to be sure that these other characters, what they're doing and what they're saying, it's true to who they are. Then of course when you have 4 or 5 characters that are talking to each other, it gets pretty crazy, starting to jump from one to the other, maintaining the right subjectivity for each one. But the next tip I have will make it a lot easier. One thing I do before starting writing dialogue is to open a bracket and start writing whatever is going on inside the character's head. I write everything: opinions, random thoughts, desires, remote memories, anything I can think of based on the situation and the previous work I've done on the character. Once I know how the characters feel and the thoughts in his head, I can close the bracket and let him speak. And I feel like this is a pretty simple and effective way to slow down time and explore all the layers of a character in a given situation, especially if it's a character that you have researched extensively but never put on the field. Another advantage of this method is that it makes very easy to understand if a character is story ready or not. Because if you open your bracket and you find yourself wondering what to write after a few words, you know the characters need a bit more love before being used in a story. And cherry on top, this system will really help you out to deliver on the next tip. Now, I don't know the textbook definition, but subtext means that there is more to what you're saying than what you're saying. Hey, can I steal you for a minute? Which means, can I drop a tedious and time-consuming task on your ass? Sure. Which means, fine, but I would rather not do, and I'll probably stop halfway through. Everybody use subtext. Many people use it to appear more polite than they would like to be. Some people use it to avoid conflict. Sarcasm is subtext. In fact, when you start thinking about it, people rarely means just what they're saying. And the thing of slowing down time we've seen before will allow you to have a complete list of the character thoughts and feeling, which is a very useful tool to have when you have to decide if the character should imply something in what he's saying, depending on how comfortable he is with the situation and how much he likes the person he's interacting with. You know, there's a reason why "winter is coming" is such a memorable line. And it's because with just 3 words, we are implying thousands of things that will come along with this winter. So yeah, never underestimate the power of subtext. But you know what else is powerful? The exact opposite of subtext. Strong in-your-face opinions aren't exactly popular these days, but despite what the snowflakes that pollute the world likes to think, strong in-your-face opinions are the sauce that makes conversation interesting. See what I did there? If you don't allow your character to have strong, unique opinions, what should have been a dialogue will become just flat, boring exposition, like talking about the weather to a stranger. If you think about the conversations you have with your friends, your real friends, exchanging opinions is what makes them friends. And that is true for the opinions you agree with, but it's even more true for the opinions you do not agree with, because those are the opinions that makes you challenge each other, that makes you grow, that makes you expand. Those are the opinions we want. And that should also be what characters do, to sound alive and interesting and to feel like real people that the readers knows intimately. I mean, how much more interesting Sam gets when he starts challenging Frodo about the ring instead of nodding along at his every word. It's night and day. And speaking of night and day differences, if you like the video, this would be a good moment to subscribe because we're at the end. These were my 5 tips for better dialogue. Hope you find it interesting enough to try them out. Let me know in the comments how it goes. This is all for today and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.